Ah, there. Well, nobody around right here. The place looks so different I hardly recognized it because of all the death. It's just death everywhere from being so dried out. I'm afraid that rain came a little too late for some of the plants. So, the COVID situation here in San Francisco, California, US. So we've been having around between 15 and 35 new cases all during the summer. Once in a while it would jump up to 100 and then come back down. In the last 3 days it's gone skyrocketing. Yesterday 210 new cases. Unbelievable. Looks like it's a little bit more infectious at this time. I'm gonna have to move you. The wind is getting, the wind's not too bad there. Okay. So during this pandemic, the UN is now warning again about famine within the next year. The problem is that the funding that was available for 2020 for food programs will not be available for 2021, it looks like. Trump will sabotage that, and people here in the US will get a little taste of what famine is like, along with 5 other countries, they say, within the year, because of the money shortage and the lack of leadership around the world, especially the US. Speaking of that, Tyson Foods here in the US makes meat, hot dog type products. The managers were betting on how many of their workers would get COVID-19 during their testing phases. They would bet on it. That's this kind of scum that we have working in the meat industry here in the US. The management is just absolute bottom of the row scum to bet on the disease. And many people died at that plant. Just disgusting. I don't know what kind of path the US is going down, but it looks like a pretty trashy one to me. How to stop the meat industry? Just become a vegetarian or a vegan, or a little bit of both. On this video, I've shown you so many reasons to stop eating meat. It's probably one of the biggest footprint parts that you have that you can lower your footprint with, is just lowering your meat consumption or stopping it altogether. So let's just talk a little bit about some politics. Biden and the Green New Deal. Biden is being urged to sign with the Green New Deal. He says he's going to go ahead and rejoin the Paris Accord. All these things are stepping stones to getting to the real work that needs to be done. But it makes politicians feel like they're doing something. So, is Biden turning out to be a Green New Deal type president? Well, so far, he's filling his staff with lobbyists, venture capitalists, and fossil fuel money investors. Did you really expect anything different from Biden? You know, we all knew he was just a corporatist, and he will always be a corporatist. He sure speaks a lot better than Trump and seems to be a lot more intelligent. I actually was able to listen to part of his speech yesterday. I was amazed. I wasn't turned off and felt like I wanted to throw up. You know, I just don't understand why we're having so much trouble with COVID when we knew all this was coming, but yet just across the street from where I live there was a COVID party, a massive COVID spreader party, huge, 50-60 people in a little tiny home, just partying it up. You could tell that the masks were on at the beginning, but of course as the night went on all the masks came off and the super spreader began. How can partying be so important that you're willing to die for it? I don't get it. With all the technology going on today, with all the different communications, you would think you could do a virtual party where no one gets infected with anybody and you can talk with everybody. With all those little boxes of people in the screen, and do whatever you want and party along with them. Who cares? That's not going to hurt anything. But these get-togethers, they're becoming more and more as if when Biden won the election, everyone, well, not everyone, a large group, about a third of the major population, took their masks off and haven't put them back on yet. I tell you, I tend to agree with so many that say that humans just aren't developed enough to make it to the future. I still disagree with that, but not by much. So, the other day, I got into a discussion with somebody I didn't know, which was a mistake. And they told me that wearing a mask was really bad for you because you rebreathe your own air. Jeez. You know that I've been breathing my own air in masks since I was in the teens, because I worked in construction and you had to wear a mask all the time for OSHA safety regulations, which I don't think are around anymore now. So I went to look at research to see if there really was some research that backed that up, and of course there isn't. Masks do not cause anything to happen if you use them, other than you will filter out bad stuff. Getting into your breathing system, your lungs, nostrils. But the thing that blew me away is that this mask thing is getting on like 9 months. We've been educating ourselves with masks and news about the COVID. And if most people were exposed to 9 months of some sort of education, they would get better and better. But on the mask issue, we're getting worse and worse. People keep wearing it down below their nose or half cocked on their mouth. Maybe humans are just a simulation, because that just doesn't make any sense.